The principle of ex debito justitia has been elaborately dealt with in the concurring judgment of Umesh C. Banerjee Justice in Rupa Ashok Hurra 2002 4 SCC 388 paragraph 69. The principle is founded on a recognition of a debt that the justice delivery system owes to a litigant to correct an error in a judicial dispensation. Its application by the very nature of things can be made to depend on varying perceptions of legal omissions and commissions, but such recognitions of the debt which have the potential of opening new vistas of exercise of jurisdiction to relook concluded cases must rest on surer foundations which have been discerned and expressed in Rupa Ashok Hurra. Frantic cries of injustice founded on perceived erroneous application of law or appreciation of facts will certainly not be enough to extend the frontiers of this jurisdiction. Noted. Honorable Justice Ranjan Gogoi in Hashik Hussain Ruku vs. Union of India, writ petition criminal number 46 of 2008. In A.R. Antule's case, the majority in the 7-judge bench of this court set aside an earlier judgment of the Constitution bench in a collateral proceeding on the view that the order was contrary to the provisions of the Act of 1952. In the background of that Act, without precedent and in violation of the principles of natural justice, which needed to be corrected ex debito justitia. In Supreme Court Bar Association case, on an application filed under Article 32 of the Constitution of India, the petitioner sought declaration that the disciplinary committees of the Bar Council set up under the Advocates Act 1961 alone had exclusive jurisdiction to inquire into and suspend or debar an advocate from practicing law for professional or other misconduct under the Supreme Court of India or any High Court in exercise of its inherent jurisdiction had no such jurisdiction, power or authority in that regard. A constitution bench of this court considered the correctness of the judgment of this court in Re Vinay Chandra Mishra 1995 2 SCC 584. The question which fell for consideration of this court was whether the punishment of debarring an advocate from practice and suspending his license for a specific period could be passed in exercise of power of this court under Article 129 read with Article 142 of the Constitution of India. There, an errant advocate was found guilty of criminal contempt and was awarded the punishment of simple imprisonment for a period of 6 weeks, and was also suspended from practice as an advocate for a period of 3 years from the date of the judgment of this court for contempt of High Court of Allahabad. As a result of that punishment, all elected and nominated officers posts then held by him in his capacity as an advocate had to be vacated by him. Elucidating the scope of the curative nature of power conferred on the Supreme Court under Article 142, it was observed Lord Denning's exposition of the doctrine ex debito justitiae in A.S. Catherine Home versus Norquipment Trading Limited 1972 to all ER 538 has been stated to be rather restrictive, but since basically the same stands out to be on the concept of justice, speaking for Mr. do not describe to such criticism. The master of the rolls stated that if the judgment is irregular, that is, which ought not to have been signed at all, then the defendant is entitled ex debito justitia to have it set aside, but in the event it is otherwise regular, question of setting aside of the judgment would not arise. It therefore, however, arises the question as to the true effect of regular and irregular judgments. Since the issue involves a much wider debate, we refrain ourselves to attribute meanings to thereto or to dilate on the ramifications of the terminology, having regard to further enunciation of the doctrine by both the English courts and the Indian Supreme Court. Adverting to the true purport of the maxim, therefore, it's no gainsay that the same relates to and arises from the concept of justice. In the event there appears to be infraction of the concept, question of there being a turnaround and thereby maintaining a total silence by the law courts would not arise. It's on this score, the learned Attorney General for India, appearing as amicus curiae, contended that Supreme Court has the jurisdiction to exercise the inherent power for the ends of justice or to prevent abuse of the process of the court. Though we are not inclined to ascribe an order of this court as an abuse of the process of the court, but the factum of the availability of inherent power of the ends of justice cannot in any way be decried. The Constitution of India assigned a pivotal role onto the Supreme Court, providing therein the supremacy of law, with the rationale being justice is above all. The exercise of inherent power of this court also stands recognized by Order 57, Rule 6 of the Supreme Court Rules 1966, which reads as below. True, due regard shall have to have as regards opinion of the court in Rangaswamy case, but the situation presently centers around in the event of there being any manifest injustice, would the doctrine of ex debito justitia be said to be having a role to play in sheer passivity, or to rise above the ordinary heights as it preaches that justice is above all. Justice is above all. The second alternative seems to be in consonance with time and present phase of socio-economic conditions of the society. Manifest justice is curable in nature rather than incurable, and this court would lose its sanctity and thus would belie the expectations of the founding fathers that justice is above all. There is no manner of doubt that procedural law or procedural justice can overreach the concept of justice, and the event an order stands out to create manifest injustice, would the same be allowed to remain in silence so as to affect the parties perpetually, or the concept of justice ought to activate the court to find a way out to resolve the erroneous approach to the problem. Mr. Attorney General, with all the emphasis in his command, though principally agreed that justice of the situation needs to be looked into and relief be granted if so required, but on the same breath submitted that the court ought to be careful enough to tread on the path, otherwise the same will open up Pandora's box. Thus, if at all, in rarest of the rare cases, the further scrutiny may be made. While it's true that law courts have overburdened itself with the litigation and delay in disposal of matters in the subcontinent is not unknown, and in the event of any further appraisal of the matter by this court, it would brook on further delay, resulting in consequences which are not far to see, but that would by itself not, in my view, deter this court further appraisal of the matter in the event the same, however, deserves such an additional appraisal. The note of caution sounded by Mr. Attorney as regards opening up of Pandora's box, strictly speaking, however, though may be of very practical in nature, but the same apparently does not seem to go well with the concept of justice as enumerated in our Constitution. True, it is that practicability of the situation needs a serious consideration, more so than this court could do without it for the more than 50 years, which by no stretch of imagination can be said to be a period not so short. I feel it necessary, however, to add that it's not that we are not concerned with the consequences of reopening of the issue, but the redeeming feature of our justice delivery system, as is prevalent in our country, is adherence to proper and effective administration of justice in stricto. In the event there is any affectation of such an administration of justice, either by way of infraction of natural justice or an order being passed to relieve without jurisdiction, or affectation of public confidence as regards the doctrine of integrity in the justice delivery system, technicality ought not to be outweigh the course of justice, the same being the true effect of the doctrine of ex debito justitiae. The oft-quoted statement of Law of Lord Heward, Chief Justice in R versus Sussex, Justice X.P. McCarthy, 1924, 1 KB 256, that it is of fundamental importance that justice should not only be done, should manifestly and undoubtedly be seen to be done, had this doctrine underlined and administered therein. In this context, the decision of the House of Lords in R versus Bow Street Metropolitan Stipendiary Magistrate and others, Ex parte Pinochet Ugarte, number 2, seems to be an epoch-making decision wherein public confidence on the judiciary is said to be the basic criteria of the justice delivery system. Any act or action, even if it a passive one, if erodes or even likely to erode the ethics of judiciary, matter needs a further look. Brother Justice Kadri has taken very great pains to formulate the steps to be taken and the methodology therefore in the event of there being an infraction of the concept of justice as such. Further dilation would be an unnecessary exercise which I wish to avoid, since I have already recorded my concurrence therewith accepting. However, lastly, that curative petitions are to be treated as a rarity rather than regular, and the appreciation of the court shall have to be upon proper circumspection, having regard to the three basic features of our justice delivery system, to wit, the order being in contravention of the doctrine of natural justice, or without jurisdiction, or in the event of there is even a likelihood of public confidence being shaken by reason of the association or closeness of a judge with the subject matter in dispute. In my view, it's now time that procedural justice system should give way to the conceptual justice system. The efforts of the law court ought to be so directed. Gone are the days when the implementation of draconian system of law or interpretation thereof were insisted on. Flexibility of the law courts presently are its greatest virtue, and as such, justice-oriented approach is the need of the day to strive and forge ahead in the 21st century. So this judgment was taken from Rupa Ashok Pura versus Ashok Pura. The concept of ex debito justitia has been clearly enunciated in this judgment. Thank you.